going on, everybody? This is Joe.
And Amy.
And we are back with another episode of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Last time, thankfully, mercifully, we had an easy episode because the one before it was easily the hardest we've had in this whole series.
Yeah.
So that was nice, and now we're going to, we had trial last time. We're going to have trial again today, and hopefully that trend continues, because that would be real nice. Hey everybody, while you're here, please don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell so that you'll get notifications whenever any of our videos come out for this series, our other series, and you can check out our other channels as well, linked down below. Thank you so much for doing so. February 24th, 12:14 p.m., District Court, courtroom number 9. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Ms. Lana Skye. Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. So one thing that I forgot that we're supposed to do here is we have all of these files for the Joe Darke killings. Let's see if we can look at them.
Yes,
Incident,
please.
yeah, exactly. Incident number SL9, closed. Perpetrator, Joe Darke. Crime, serial murder. Sentence, death.
Okay.
Victims, Edward Jones, Jason Knight, Edith Kirby, Rachel Moss, Jeb Bates, and Neil Marshall.
Ah, okay.
So Marshall, notable,
Yeah.
because we know a Marshall, and he has been implicated in some things for our case as well. None of these other last names seem familiar based on anything that we've come across, but Marshall stands out. Trial data. Head prosecutor Miles Edgeworth. Witnesses Lana Skye, Emma Skye.
Okay.
So there's where Emma comes in. Investigation Task Force. Executive investigators Damon Gant and Lana Skye, and head investigator Bruce Goodman. Regular investigators Jake Marshall and Angel Starr.
Okay.
So all of these people we know. In fact,
Yes.
every other name here we are familiar with except for 5 out of the 6 victims. And the perpetrator's name we've barely heard,
Right.
if at all. And then even technically the Neil Marshall thing, we don't know that it's connected, but it's likely, just based on how shady things are going right now. So, okay. Anyway, good to know that we were able to check that out, because we had not gotten a chance at the end of the last episode when this was added. So, good that we did that now, and then we will now hear from Jake Marshall. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Still drinking. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know! You're a patrolman! As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind call it out.
No, you can't.
To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind? I've never heard Edgeworth described that way before. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something.
I mean, he wasn't describing Edgeworth.
Yeah, well, no, because he said if you listen, you can hear the howling wind call it out, and then Edgeworth said his name. So Edgeworth was the howling wind.
Ah.
You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? The desperado's soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime. In plain old English.
Old English. Oh, crap.
Nice.
Now it's going to be even harder to read.
Day of the crime. My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard.
Ew.
They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. Wow.
Wow, dude.
Excuse me. I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining.
He is shaving his own.
Yeah. Constantly.
At
with
the moment.
with an open blade in a courtroom. Which is definitely not how it works. Again, I've said this before. I don't care what like your title is or whatever. You don't have knives in the courtroom. That's not how it works. If you're the bailiff, maybe you have like a taser on you.
Right.
And depending on some places, I'm sure you might be able to have a gun as well. But you'd have to like be the court officer.
Yeah.
That's your literal
the
job.
The only one.
Yep. Phoenix, wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprint-activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? He's not being very helpful. He's not that good with machines or with following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses now, don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. Cross-examination, day of the crime. My job is to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard.
Is that supposed to be like... That sounds more like a morgue
I don't know.
than an evidence locker room.
How exactly did you keep an eye on the evidence room? I just made sure nothing moved in the security camera monitor. That room's so still, even time dies in there. I was just a caretaker who interred the recordings. You interred them? Videos of nothing aren't that useful. When the time would come, I'd erase the tape. If nothing unusual is recorded, tapes are to be erased every 6 hours. Each time I'd erase a tape, it felt like I was erasing a part of my life. This guy has a flair for the dramatic, but it isn't going to do him any good. So, in actuality, you don't physically enter the evidence room? They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. But you made your rounds on the day of the crime, right? Ain't you heard a word I said, partner? I told you that ain't my style. I'm afraid I don't understand. No desperado I know lets rules get in his way.
Wow.
No desperados I know join the police force.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime? Just between you and me, I didn't set foot in the evidence room that day. There was a rubber glove stuck in the victim's locker. Do you know anything about that? Sorry, partner, can't say I do. I haven't been in that crypt in weeks. How does this guy avoid being fired? Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. You used to be a detective, so you've used the evidence room in the past, correct? Of course. Back in the day, my locker was a gold mine of evidence. And yet, you didn't know about the fingerprint locking mechanism? Sorry, partner, I ain't good with machines. I couldn't even tell you how a bike works. What? That's quite, incredible. The sensors on the locker handles cannot be seen. It's well known that some detectives are unaware of their presence. Now that he mentions it, Detective Gumshoe said something like that, too. It's true, he did. At any rate, it doesn't seem that this is relevant to the crime. Can you tell us what you were doing when the crime took place? If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time it went down. What were you doing in a place like that? I was eating spaghetti.
What the fuck? This
This
dude is so stupid.
A street-side saloon, and he was eating spaghetti.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know.
Why any of it?
Not even Angel's steak lunches can beat that parlor's Vignoli sepia pasta.
I guess.
I've never seen that word before. Do I have to take my Italian card away? Like, I'm not aware of what that word is. Do you mean to tell us you abandoned your police duties to eat some noodles? Not all desperados eat tacos, partner.
Wow. So that's a yes, then.
That's not what I meant. I hope this has at least taught you a lesson.
That's strange. This is usually where Edgeworth says, "Did you not want to raise this year?" I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. Out of ammo, Officer Marshall? That's right, partner, or as you'd call it, evidence. If you plan to pin me to this crime, then you'd better draw. Otherwise, you're just wasting my time. My steel horse is waiting to carry me back west into the sunset.
One thing seems clear. Despite being responsible for guarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to have seen anything.
Texans don't take orders from anyone. Everyone knows that. That's... what? Apparently your superiors don't. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I'd best keep my cool. Before I use it, though, I'd better up the ante. Better up the ante? Okay, so we don't... in other words, we don't want to just drop the handprint there. Scene of the stabbing or detective. That's the evidence room. Goodman's lost item report.
Maybe the log?
Screwdriver. This?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because we could ask him what his number is. Because the only one we don't have is 777777 or whatever.
Right.
Okay. Alright. So yeah, my job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at the street side saloon at the time it went down. Okay, so let's go back. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway, so maybe this is where we present the log.
Yeah.
The evidence log, or the login. Ugh. Your Honor, what do you think about the witness's statement? God damn it.
I'm not sure I follow.
It clearly contradicts the, I thought...
You don't sound very convinced, Mr. Wright. Objection overruled.
I don't think that won me any points with the judge. Yeah, it sure didn't. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard. They said it was supposed to make rounds. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems. If I remember right, I was at a street side saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. Okay, so...
maybe we, at some point, show him the glove, so that then we can talk
the judge
to him
asked him
about
that
the
already.
Fact that it was, like, stuck in the locker.
The judge asked him that already, and he said he had no idea. They said it was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that in my style. My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard. Maybe it's here? Because if he was supposed to keep an eye, then how did somebody get in at this time? That didn't work. Witness's statement is clearly faulty, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, but I can see nothing faulty.
Alright, I'll try one more time. Unfortunately, I will have to penalize you, Mr. Wright. I'm going to try it one more time with that third statement. The second statement, I mean. This one. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style.
Maybe we do just present him with the fingerprints.
Yeah, I guess. Switchblade knife, and then we're into like stuff for this case, which is irrelevant,
right.
It seems, at least for this particular situation. All right, yeah, let's try one last time with this ID card record. Nope, didn't work. Okay. All right. So then, yeah, I guess if when he talks about the ammo, I'll try the fingerprints.
Yeah. Or like when he says he doesn't go in there.
For the room, no, this one, they said it was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style.
Yeah.
Okay. We got 2 tries. Okay, let's try it. Your Honor, what do you think about the witness's statement? God damn it. Okay, one last try for the ammo thing. Otherwise, we will have to go back and look it up. Okay. Last shot. Here it is. Why? He specifically said to do something else first. Oh, come on, man. That's such bullshit. That's what you wanted us to do? Okay. That's really stupid. Yeah. All right. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? That is, you being called in to testify like this? After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime. And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene. Or, to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects. That is, make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood.
Witness, what's the meaning of this? Your blood-stained fingerprints were at the crime scene?
The blood was wiped away. However, a luminal test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall? He's casually shaving himself still. Seems to me, there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders. What? I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall? About the blood-stained fingerprints?
Very well, you may begin your testimony about your fingerprints, found at the scene of the crime.
Blood-stained fingerprints. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the blood-stained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The blood stain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See, I had nothing to do with it.
The witness's explanation appears valid, although there's room for doubt.
Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner.
The defense may now cross-examine the witness.
This guy's hiding something. I can feel it.
Well, he just said that he knew that the murderer wore gloves.
Right.
Even though, we didn't say anything about that.
Right.
So.
Now's my chance to prove it.
he's not wrong, but why would he know it?
Right. Blood-stained fingerprints. Okay, and we are still at only one more. We cannot mess up again, or we'll have to start over. So, like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. That's because you... How did you put it? Pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine.
What? What do you mean?
I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. All that's in there now, though, is a heap of broken dreams. I see. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently, his fingerprint data was never removed from that locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without even knowing it. Marshall's fingerprints updated in the court record. Found a bloody handprint on Marshall's own locker. The print had been wiped. So that's good, because now we can use that for, do you remember?
No.
So we saw in the video of the moment of the crime that locker was closed the whole time, but that partway through, something ends up sticking out of it.
Right.
So he was the murderer, or the one at least who attacked Meekins.
Okay.
Dressed as Goodman.
Okay.
So we will be able to put that in at some point.
Okay.
Because now we know that it was his own locker. He's the only one who would have been able to open it with the fingerprint lock.
Right.
And we see in the video that it had to have been opened and then closed because there's something hanging out of it from one moment of the video to the next. Which I believe you were the one that noticed, which is awesome, in the last episode.
Well, I noticed that there still was something hanging out of it. And then you noticed that there wasn't
At the
in
beginning.
a different part of the video.
That's right. Yeah, because you called that out at the end. Yeah, okay. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the blood-stained handprint. So then, what about the bloody handprint? Wasn't mine. It's no mystery. Please explain. My locker is covered with my fingerprints. It just so happened the murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1. On the contrary, one could argue just the opposite. The chances of that not happening are 1,000,000 to 1. Get one thing straight, partner. You ain't gonna get no reward for me with a mere fingerprint. That's actually kind of funny. Because, like, back in the Wild West days, like, one of the tropes is, like, that poster of, like, the wanted poster with the reward.
Yep.
That's pretty funny. I like that. You want to know why? The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Unrelated? They're as different as night and day. Kind of like cereal and cereal. Thank God that was written, because saying it in court doesn't mean a thing. One's got to do with breakfast, while the other's a type of murder. He's right! Although seemingly alike, they're totally different.
The other one's not a type of murder. It's just a thing that you do a lot.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
A thing that gets done multiple times.
Right, you can be a serial offender. Yeah. I don't see what homonyms have to do with this. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There was a bloodstain at the scene, thought to be left by the murderer. That's right. It was found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Oh yeah, I think we tried that too.
So that would mean the murderer, wearing gloves, happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint.
That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? This seal of blood. In the desert, it's just food for the buzzards.
Wow.
There's only one reality, and that's this. The security tape. Thank God. Thanks for bringing that up, dude. Appreciate it. So long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise.
This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall.
Too bad it wasn't me in that video, right, partner? Hell yeah.
Nice.
Thank you. So kind. The witness's statement is... Wow, we lose?
I guess.
Okay. We just lose.
That's enough. This court sees no reason to further prolong the trial.
It's really goddamn stupid. It's like, well, it wasn't me in the video. Well, we can present that it was you in the video. Nope, you're wrong. Okay, thanks, game.
The defense has failed to give the court sufficient reason to doubt the prosecution's claim. This court finds the defendant, Ms. Lana Skye, guilty.
Try again.
The accused will surrender to the court immediately, to be held pending trial at a higher court within a month from today's date. That is all. This court is adjourned.
It's happened before, it'll happen again. Hopefully never again. Alright. Let's just skip through all of it. There are no selections that we have to make at any time, so I'm just gonna slam this enter key until we get there. Hurry up.
So guys, like, subscribe, share, and check out our other channels.
Yeah, liking and sharing is genuinely very helpful, so we really do appreciate that. Okay, here we go. Alright, so the original thing, we'll just wait until the ammo line. Okay. Let's do it. Skip through all this. Yep. Keep it going.
I love that the music is like not keeping up with
Nope.
where we're at in the story at all.
It sure isn't. Okay. All right. So then we hear this testimony, we press on everything, and then once we get to the new line about the tape, then we can go from there as the whatever we haven't seen yet. Okay. Whoops, sorry. Okay. So yes, we just press on everything, blah, blah, blah. Thank you. Oh yes, okay, so that updated Marshall's fingerprints, good. Okay. Chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1. They're not, though.
I have to say, like, I love when I'm not looking up at the screen and you're doing that, and it's the...
Yeah.
Because it just sounds like you're watching, like, I don't know, some kind of, like, stupid, slapstick cartoon, as opposed to, like,
Sure.
you know.
A court game.
Right.
It's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? This seal of blood. In the desert, it's just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. The security tape. So long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise.
This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall.
Too bad it wasn't me in that video, right, partner? What do you mean by that? You want to tie me to this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have. But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots.
Blind spots?
Places you can't see. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape.
We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now.
Hell yeah! Okay, so we just had to press on it, not present the video as evidence.
Right.
That makes sense, right, game? That definitely makes sense. That's definitely the way that it should have been done.
Yeah.
Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall.
Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making the mistake. Now then, let's have another look at the video. Show us this incriminating evidence of the witness, Officer Jake Marshall.
Okay, so let's fast forward with enter. Bum 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 bum. Okay, so it's empty there.
Still hasn't come in yet.
Meekins is down, and here it is. So it's going to be right here. Got there. Bringing our attention back to the security camera is a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall. The days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video.
That locker with the white cloth sticking out? That was the witnesses, I believe.
Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. There's Meekins. Could this go any slower? Is that like an option?
Nope. Oh, the white cloth! It's gone! What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall?
When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then, it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away.
Order! Order! It would seem that's the only... Hold your horses. Sorry, partner, but you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was opened? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it.
We already learned about the fingerprint thing, dude.
Exactly, we've talked about that multiple times. The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened a locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man? This guy isn't just playing dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah? I call your bluff. You say I opened that locker, now prove it. This one. Fingerprint sensor? We talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people on the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say? In 8 words or less.
Is that jerky?
I think so. I only got 1 word for you, partner.
No!
Okay.
That is 1 word.
Order! 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 Witness, explain yourself.
If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard. I assure you, this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime.
Eating jerky.
Olay! Please answer the question.
What the hell?
Olay?
Why did he say Olay?
Is he calling him Olay?
What is he now, a bullfighter? That's all right, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure out figure the rest out from here.
We can?
Have a look at these floor plans. There is no place for someone to hide in the evidence room, yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. What?
If that's so, then where was the witness?
Seems Mr. Wright has an answer.
It was at his locker.
No. That's right. The only possible conclusion.
Well then, let's hear it.
I have no idea. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime? I have no idea. What?
Oh, Officer Meekins was passed out.
No, but there was... Oh, he was the victim. Is that what we're supposed to be showing? Officer Marshall was standing right here.
There? But that's where the victim, Detective
Goodman, was. Yeah, but it wasn't Goodman. It was Marshall dressed as Goodman. That's what I've been saying this whole time. It's just that, yeah, okay. Okay. Correct. Unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. It was you, dressed up like Detective Goodman. But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure. May I point out, though, that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. When I entered the evidence room, I asked him to show his card, sir. Yes, and how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly pulled a knife on me!
You wouldn't do that if you were the guy you were
Right.
pretending to be.
Exactly. Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it?
Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it.
The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card.
Oh, I get it.
If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realized the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall?
You've got quite an imagination, partner. We got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence.
Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it.
You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective, unless you have hard evidence proving I dressed up as the victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining.
He said that already.
Yep.
Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim?
No? Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that.
I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat.
I almost said dessert. I was like trying to read it too quickly. This can't be happening. It's so obvious he's the one. What can I do?
Looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you've run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics.
The basics. For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Phoenix, try thinking outside the box. I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise, but rather I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise.
Why do you think this locker was opened in the first place? What do you mean?
There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later, as it had been, or has been. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker.
According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then, after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth?
Yeah, we don't know.
We do know.
We do?
Mm-hmm. Think about it. Meekins said Goodman's coat was covered in his own blood. Goodman's coat is white.
Yeah.
So
Missing.
he took off so he took off that coat and shoved it in his locker. But those lockers are kind of small, and that coat or cloak or whatever you want to call it was rather big. So I'm assuming that it's that.
Yeah, but it was still there when we investigated the crime scene.
He might have more than one coat.
Yeah, he's gonna have to. Because
Or a similar coat.
the body had a coat on it,
Correct.
right?
Correct. As far as I know, I think that's correct.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like...
Perhaps... Sorry, go ahead. Please, sorry.
No.
No, you're good? All right. Perhaps the video is the key to all our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video is my only shot. God damn it.
Very well, let's take yet another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness had to open his locker.
It's just got to be the cloak, right? Or the outfit? Alright, so I don't think it was the glove, despite that being there. But here comes Meekins. There it is. There it is.
What?
You see the blood on it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit. I did the wrong thing. Sorry. There.
Take that.
It worked. For some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know to what end. Yet. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood.
A bloody white coat?
You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker.
Not bad, partner. Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth?
Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now would we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did. All of it. All right. It seems the time has come. Marshall's confession.
Nice.
Whew. I had to do it that day. I just couldn't stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on the camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15.
So the supposed victim was really you.
But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. Thank you, Edgeworth. I was going to ask that same thing. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's the donor. It was way too much blood for such a small donation. That's what I said. Marshall's confession. All right, so as we typically do here, let's press everything, and then when we get to the end, if it loops us back, we'll then see where we have to present something or what. I had to do it that day. I just couldn't stand by and let it die. When you say it, you mean... Do you even have to ask, partner? The SL9 incident. 2 years have passed since that case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transferal that day. Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over. But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When a case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time, no matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine. But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about it? We know why.
His relative was part of it.
Exactly. That day was my last chance. That's why I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transferal, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera.
And the detective's ID card?
I stole that the morning of the incident. So that really was why Goodman started filling out that lost item report. I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean the fingerprint-activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that locker yourself. But he could because a rubber glove just happened to get stuck in the door. That means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out. You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off? Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time.
Officer Meekins certainly is a one-in-a-million type of person. Mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID. I'll have to think a little more about his raise this year. There's the raise comment. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry it had to turn out that way, with me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. So you knocked Officer Meekins out and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on the camera. So you did your research beforehand. Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make a difference, though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in your struggle with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is, on that day, there wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. But the blood found at the scene certainly indicates a crime took place. What are you, blind? The victim shown on that tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker? Actually, no, I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Mr. Edgeworth, where is that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence.
It was probably Emma.
Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. That's actually 100%... Well, sorry, not 100%. That's unfair. Obviously, people have heard I plead the fifth or something, so he can plead the fifth and not incriminate himself, or, in order to not incriminate himself. But just not answering a question for the sake of not answering a question, the judge can compel you to answer. And you still, because, they can't, pull information out of you, you can still say no, but then the judge can still put you in contempt, or hold you in contempt, and send you to jail, or make you pay a fine, or both, or whatever. But, yeah. So he's partially right here. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer, this is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. It can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one is mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. I can't just forget the SL9 incident. You know why? I do know why. But let's have you tell us. But that case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Darke was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure is he deserved his sentence. God damn it. I was doing so well. I remember the Joe Darke case. It involved serial murders, didn't it? I don't intend to complain about how it turned out, but there's something that still bothers me. Something went down at that trial. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. Why is he so concerned with that incident? Again, his relative. Maybe I should present him with what I think his real reason is. I had a feeling we'd wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. I better take another look at the files. I already did. I had to do it that day. I just couldn't stand by and let it die. Alright, so let's get to the last line. I can't just forget the SL9 incident. You know why? He said, let's present him.
Oh.
Here it is. It worked. Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file here. The name Marshall is mentioned in here. in a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man? Neil Marshall? Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago. Whoa! He received the same lousy prosecutor award you got.
Wow.
Wow!
What? A prosecutor?
He must be talking about the King of Prosecutors Award. Now I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right. He was killed. And the case fell into your hands.
But what's his relation to you?
Brother? He was my brother. He was investigating the murders with Damon Gant, the then deputy chief of police. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
With his back to us.
Yeah, we saw this picture already, and I was wondering who that person was,
Yeah.
and we never found out.
There you go. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Whoa. I guess that's Joe Darke. Joe Darke. My brother fought Darke and was killed. That was the first time Darke left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed. At least, according to the public records.
What do you mean?
My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Darke. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it? That's your reason for your insane actions? There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me.
Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime.
That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with its resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. The things that happen by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance? It's gotta be more than just that.
Yeah.
So, if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office's parking lot was the real one. Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye. But wait!
It
A
was
verdict!
the cough-up queen.
Maybe.
She's Marshall's girlfriend.
She's Marshall's girlfriend?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's not only Marshall's girlfriend, she's other people's girlfriend as well.
Oh, that's right, because she
but
tried to
she's
get the
Marshall's
judge.
girlfriend.
She had tried to get the judge to be her boyfriend as
Right.
well. But wait, a verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. But there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. Seems to me this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All the mysteries at the police department have been resolved, no doubt about it. Our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Skye, and the testimony of one Ms. Angel Starr is completely incontestable. If you have a response, make it a single word or less. Arrgh! I rest my case.
It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt.
Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police department. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera's tape really was fake. But I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana guilty.
Now then, the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant
There she is. Your Honor, wait! Emma, the defense has an objection. A scientific objection. Right? What do you mean, right?
Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian?
Nah, dude, that ain't me.
Amazing. Your Honor? Oh, in a sense, please, Your Honor. All I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please, hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please.
I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3.
Oh, look at how sad she is.
Yeah.
I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Darke killings.
Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky Sisters were in that file.
But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing. The other handprint.
You mean the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker? But no fingerprints were found on it, right?
No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So, I ran over there and looked at it again.
So, did you find something?
No. Huh? Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all.
Is that it?
Is that all? Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student. And I'm just an attorney. But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If we can't find something wrong with them... Please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you.
Me?
Oh, boy.
Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright, with regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this?
Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of more use, but still... If you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be...
Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day.
Yes, Your Honor. If ever I've needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with that handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Oh god, I feel like I'm saying that at the same time as Phoenix is, because I have no goddamn idea. Could there be something I'm missing? Fuck. I mean, literally every time it's been, do we object or do we do nothing? It's been that you object or
Right.
like say that there's a
It
problem.
wouldn't be happening if it was doing nothing.
But what's the problem? Oh, I have no idea. Sometimes the game just does it for us, so we'll see. This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction.
The only thing that seems clear is you're grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them?
Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing.
Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there?
Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark.
What?
I have no idea.
Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright.
With all this evidence here, there's gotta be something I can use.
The question is, which item can prove something is missing in the floor plans?
Tape?
The jar? Maybe it's the jar. Yeah, it's gotta be the jar. What the hell else is it?
I don't know.
Yeah, let's try the jar. As they say back west,
Even a blind man can hit with buckshot. That is, so long as he's facing the general direction. It seems Mr. Wright's not sure which direction to face. It's no use. The more evidence there is, the greater the chance of me being wrong. Just calm down, Mr. Wright. Okay, sorry, I was wrong. Try and remember what the evidence room was like on the day of the crime. What is it that bothers me about this blood mark? Please allow me another chance, Your Honor. I'll prove it this time. Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. With all this evidence here, there's gotta be something I can use. The question is, which item can prove something is missing in the floor plans? Is it the blue badger?
There is a handprint on it now,
I
where
know.
in the video there wasn't.
There
one.
was. It was there in the video.
I thought just the smear was there, but not the handprint.
No, I think the handprint was as well.
I don't think so. But it's gotta be the video. I mean, the video's gonna show whatever was in the room that's not on the map.
I don't think that's...
But I didn't notice anything.
When this thing moves all the way to the right, you do get a moment of a chance to see where that bloody handprint was on Gumshoe's locker. Or like where it would have been. But do we see it? No. I don't see it there at all.
Well, it wouldn't be there yet, because the stabbing hasn't happened yet.
But that would imply that it's Meekin's or Marshall's handprint.
Yeah.
God damn. Sorry, everybody. I know we're watching this video again, but I just need to see if we get to see anything on that locker at all. No, that's it. God damn it. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how it could be this video that talks about the bloody handprint.
Oh, okay. I see the handprint on the face of it now.
Yeah.
It just because of the stripes,
Yeah.
it made it really hard for me to see it.
Yeah. So, but is there anything missing? No. Like, what's missing in this video, or in the floor plans? The camera? The question is, which item can prove something is missing in the floor plans? I think it's either the video or the Blue Badger statue.
Alright.
You tell me which you think I should try
I mean,
first.
we just watched the video and I didn't see anything.
Neither did I. Alright, so you want me to try the Blue Badger instead?
I guess.
Okay. Nope. Oh. What about that piece of plowwood? The Blue Badger, mascot of the police force, defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Okay, I guess we were right. Second time's the charm. Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The Blue Badger is not here. So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well? Well, what? Ugh! That's right. So long as the Blue Badger is dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker. That's true.
Oh, because it was too close to
It was right in front. I mean, you saw. We couldn't even see that part of the locker because the Blue Badger was just constantly in the
but
way.
I thought there was space behind it for people to walk through.
No, God, no. What?
So that means, just exactly what does that mean?
It means it can't be done.
What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found on that locker.
Don't look at me. I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically. Emma, on that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the blue badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the blue badger was brought in?
Just one moment. I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom.
It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor,
He
but it's
won't allow this.
Yeah, exactly. But it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice.
But how?
One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is, the other time... the problem is the other time. Sorry, that was the end of the sentence. Someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered.
That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim.
The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker. Jesus.
So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred.
When did the first incident occur?
To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room.
That's right. The blood mark on the locker proves this.
Very well, then tell us. When did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edgeworth said, proof must be presented.
Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that.
Now then, will the defense please present its evidence?
Do you know what we're presenting? I think I do.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I do.
What shows when the first crime took place?
Well, there's only a few things with times written on them.
Yeah.
And there sure is a blank space on this, isn't there?
Yeah.
If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. And in order to do so, an ID card would have been required.
An ID card? Oh! The ID card record!
4:20 p.m., the 777-7777.
That means that the killer was waiting in there for 20 minutes.
No.
No, longer than that.
No, it happened before Edgeworth came in.
Okay.
So they
But
would
then
have...
how did Goodman get in?
It wasn't Goodman, remember? It was Marshall with Goodman's swipe card. Oh, you mean how did Goodman get in to be murdered?
Yeah.
Maybe they both came in together. Maybe, yeah, that's my assumption.
Maybe.
Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at... Let's see
here, 4:50 p.m. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m. Miles Edgeworth, just what have you done?
I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it.
I'm afraid I don't understand either.
It's clear from the luminal test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible.
That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room.
That's correct.
So it is the chief of police.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, that's why he
Gant?
gave us this tape as opposed to the tape that
From
had the
before.
actual murder on it.
Sure. Let's look at the chart again.
He gave us a tape with a fake murder.
There's only one other card number remaining. 777-7777. Talk about a lucky number.
But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room?
Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's what I said. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 7777777.
Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 7777777.
Why do you have to spell it out, dude? That's 17 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card. At least, at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number 7777777 belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher. There you go, Amy. Nicely done. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity. But that's ridiculous! Just how... I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. Oh, shit.
Oh, damn.
There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted.
An official charge? You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates.
Wow.
Damn, Marshall.
He certainly agrees with the cough of Queen, then.
I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay, let me ask a question. Actually, it is slander. Slander is spoken. Libel is written. So yes, it was slander. Although, it is only slander if it is something that is provable and is provably untrue.
Yeah, that's why he's saying it's not.
Correct. Let me ask a question. Yes? No, not to you. To her, the defendant, sitting over there. Your own little executive. Lana? Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course we've looked up her ID number. And it's not 777-7777.
But it is 777-777-777-777.
Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I wanted to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident.
The SL9 incident?
Wow, that was a terrible version of that judge's voice. I'm so sorry. Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, occasionally, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did. Lana? I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law.
Defendant, just what are you saying?
I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say that you did?
Chief Prosecutor, you didn't!
I don't have to, Officer Marshall.
Why won't you answer him?
Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to do in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana, even if it involved forging evidence. Oh, okay. See, that's what I'm talking about.
No. No! Order! 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 Order!
Lana's remarks caused such a stir, the chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. Oh, boy.
Wow, man. That's some crazy ass shit.
That is pretty crazy. And, like, okay. But it's so weird. obviously that's awful and shitty and terrible. We still have no idea about this Goodman nonsense. Just none at all. About how she's innocent if she was witnessed murdering him. Could it have been Ms. Starr?
Right. Or at least Miss Starr saying it was her when it was actually somebody else.
Right, exactly. So weird. But yeah, wow. That is the end of this particular episode. Things are happening. We technically lost this time again, but it was quick enough to get it back. And besides that, like one little hiccup there, or two maybe, two kind of dumb moments. The rest of this was a lot easier than that in the investigating 2 episodes ago. Mm-hmm. So that's for sure. That was nice. I didn't have to look anything up regardless. We were eventually able to figure everything out. So yeah, that is the end of this particular episode. I'm curious how the rest of this is all going to come together because we've got...
same.
Yeah, we've got a couple more weeks of this. So as Amy pointed out earlier, and then I pointed out before that, please don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell. You'll get those notifications whenever our videos come out, including the continuation of the series, so that you won't miss how this concludes and how difficult or easy it is for us to conclude this game. So, hey, thank you all so very much for being here.
Yes.
I really hope everybody's enjoying. I know that it may not... I was a little hesitant. You know, sometimes it's not super entertaining to watch people be like, wow, this sucks. Like, so, you know, I'm hoping people are still enjoying it. You know, we're trying to give it the respect it deserves because of the fact that the first 4 chapters of the game were good and we enjoyed them. And now we're up to this point and it's like, you know, it kind of dipped a bit in our enjoyment, but, you know, it still exists in the game and it's the last chapter. So
Right.
We're hoping to be able to finish it up. And again, it seems to be getting at least a little bit more manageable, which I appreciate greatly. So we will see what happens with the 3rd episode in a row of Trial, which has definitely never happened before. So we'll have to see how that goes next week. But yeah, for now, from us here at the Geek for All family of channels, I have been Joe.
And I'm Amy.
Don't forget to let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. We would always appreciate hearing from you. What did you think of this episode? What did you think of the twists and turns? Did you also agree that that stuff is nonsense? Like, how are we supposed to know that that was the particular way that we were supposed to present that? It just seemed a little odd for the reasons why we ended up losing and then having to come back to it. But yeah, any and all thoughts, we would appreciate it. And as we always say, in whichever video of ours you watch next, we will see you all next time. Thanks, everybody.